All right, cool. Here we go. So welcome to tonight's team call. I am so excited to talk about mindset because this business is 99.5% mindset. Okay. It is all about what we're telling ourselves. But before we jump into that, I want to remind you that the summit tickets are still on sale for $145 until Wednesday. If you do not already have your ticket, get your ticket. That is a small investment that you are making in your business to learn and grow, immerse yourself in the community, and really, honestly, get to experience what our community is all about. Super Saturdays are awesome, and going to live events is awesome, but there's nothing like Summit. There's no experience like working out with the celebrity trainers live and being with the people who see your vision and the people who are uplifting you. Okay. So make sure you get your ticket. If you are a diamond or below lifetime, you can earn $200 travel dollars. So work for it. Okay. All right, cool. That's my only tidbit. Get there. I put it off way too long. I kept saying, oh, well, this or this, I can't afford it, blah, blah, blah. It's life-changing, you guys. And let's be honest, if we're not willing to invest in Summit and make that a priority, which is the biggest learning point of our business, where they launch all the new products, what's coming up, teaching us all the things that are helping other coaches be successful, and you get to learn from the top coaches in the company. If you're not willing to be there, unless you're about to pop a baby out that day, if you're not willing to be there, are you truly building a business? So I challenge you to think about that a little bit. Make it a priority to get there. They say that for every dollar you invest in personal development, you earn 7 back. So let's say you have to invest $500 to get there between travel and whatever. You're going to make that back and then so much more from what you learn. Okay. So make it a priority to get to Summit. We are going to be talking about mindset. Mindset is the established set of attitudes by someone. Or could we say the intentional thoughts and attitudes set by someone? So it's kind of funny that that's our topic tonight, because I was re-listening to Darren Olean's 5 Forces to a Better Life, his Super Life book. And I haven't listened to it in a while, and I'm struggling a little bit with nutrition. And that always seems to help me wrap my head around choosing better foods. So whenever I find myself struggling with nutrition, I go back to that. And guess what the topic was? They were talking about the 6th life force. And it was attitude. It was choosing your attitude and choosing your thoughts. You guys, our thoughts, we become what we think. So we have to build the belief in ourselves to grow this business. We have to build the belief that we can accomplish losing weight and lead a healthier lifestyle and feel confident and healthy and happy. That doesn't just happen. We have to exercise this just as much as we do our bodies. Okay. So mindset is the intentional thoughts and attitudes of someone. So I wanted to talk with you a little bit about the last Super Saturday. They really talked about mindset, and I was blessed enough to be at the Toledo Super Sunday, which had Brad Bizchek as the keynote speaker. And for those of you who don't know who Brad is, he used to be a Beachbody coach, but he is now transitioned into a life coach. But even when he was a Beachbody coach, he was so powerful about mindset and different activities that you could do to help shift your mindset. So he says, self-talk is the biggest game changer. Self-talk is the biggest game changer. If you feel like I'm doing X, Y, and Z, I'm showing up every day, I'm being consistent, what is the secret sauce? What is that difference? And it's this. It's believing that you can do this. It's believing and seeing yourself already there. It's telling yourself when you have a bad day that you are still amazing and you did your best. Okay? So it's shifting the words that you use when you talk to yourself. And something I heard a long time ago, and I remind myself of this when I'm going through a hard time, is what would you say to a 5-year-old little girl standing in front of you, or the 5-year-old little boy version of you when they were going through a hard time? Would you tell them that they suck? Would you tell them they should give up? Would you tell them they are horrible and they're fat and they're ugly and all those awful things that we very quickly say to ourselves? It's almost sad when we think about some of the things that we say to ourselves, isn't it? So it's learning to talk more positively to ourselves. And I'm not saying it's going to totally go away, but when you start to say those things, catch yourself and say, would I say that to my best friend? Would I say that to my kid? Would I say that to the 5-year-old version of me? And if the answer is no, you need to stop saying it to yourself. Okay? So one way that we can start doing this and shifting our mindset, and Dawn has probably heard this before because I've shared this before because I've heard Brad talk about it in the past, and it is something that I implement personally and I love. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an analogy here. When you type something into Google, what happens? If you search something, you ask a question, it populates an answer, correct? It gives you things that match those keywords or whatever, and it gives you an answer. So when we ask ourselves, why do I suck at being a coach? Why is it so hard for me to hit Emerald? What does your brain do? It starts giving you all the reasons that you suck at life, that you suck at being a coach, that why you can't hit Emerald, correct? Your brain will automatically, just like Google, give you an answer or multiple answers. And you get into this downward spiral and you keep hearing all these things over and over and over again, right? So what if we asked ourselves better questions instead of asking the shitty questions that disempower ourselves? What if we asked better questions? Why is it so easy for me to hit Emerald? Again, your brain will automatically start populating answers. It's just positive, empowering answers. It's easy because it's only two people. It's easy because you're committed to this. It's easy because you have an awesome team on this call with you right now to empower you and be with you. Okay? Why is it so easy for me to choose healthier foods? Because it gives me energy. It makes me feel better. I'm working towards my goal, and my goals are aligned with the actions that I'm taking. Same thing. Our brains will automatically populate the answers, you guys, but it's empowering answers. So I challenge you to start asking yourselves better questions when you find yourself struggling. I personally ask myself 2 questions every morning when I journal, and they're in the positive form. And I allow myself to think of why I'm a good leader, why I'm a good mom, whatever that question is that I put out there. I let my brain populate all those answers just like Google would to empower the person I am becoming and the person who I want to be. Okay, so that's one thing that you can start doing is ask yourself better questions. So your first challenge or action item from this call tonight is to create a list of all the disempowering questions that you've been saying to yourself, or all the disempowering things that you've been saying to yourself. Okay, why can't I lose weight? Why can't I hit Emerald? Why can't I grow a business? Why can't I enroll challengers? Why can't I get a challenge group going? Whatever it is, okay? Make a list. And then I want you to flip them on their head and turn them into a positive question to empower the actions that you know that you need to take to reach those goals. Okay? To start empowering the positivity in your life. Okay. The next part is telling a little bit about our story. So how many of you, so raise your hand if you feel this way, feel like your story is boring, or like you don't have enough to share, or like people aren't going to connect to you? Okay. All of us at some point, right? And if you don't feel that way at some times, you're lying. Okay? Because we all feel that way. We feel like, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, and all I do is I work my business, and then I work out, and then I go get my kid, and we cook dinner, and then we go to bed, and it's a repeat, right? Or I go to work, I pick up my kids, I go home, cook dinner, put them in bed. It's like You feel like your life is boring, but it's only boring to you because it's what you do every day. But guess what? There are hundreds of thousands of people out there who are just like you, So one way that we can jog our memory and help spice things up is to tap into who we were before Beachbody. What drew you into Beachbody? Maybe it was those disempowering thoughts. Maybe it was not feeling happy in your own skin. Maybe it wasn't having a community of people to be your friends and to love you. But who were you before? That is your story, my friends. That is who you need to be talking to. Because the people we connect with in this business to coach and to help are 2, 3, 4, 5 steps behind where we are right now. We aren't connecting with the people who we are right now most of the time. We're talking to the old Corey who used to sit on the couch, and when her and her husband went to get lunch at Subway, they had a pizza, a foot-long sub, chips, a pop, and cookies. That was one freaking meal, you guys. One meal. So there's someone else out there who feels sorry, who doesn't know how to get started, and who's eating that same way, and she's so sick and tired of being tired of sitting on that damn couch, but she doesn't know where to start. Who needs me to talk to her? Okay? It's the same thing. So make a list. Who were you before Beachbody? And then make a column, and who are you now? Okay, that's going to help you get out of the, oh, my life is so mundane. I just do the same thing every day. Nobody's going to connect with my story. No, there's something there. Okay, there's something there. And the deeper, more vulnerable you can get with your story, the more you're going to connect with people, the more you're going to connect with your lifers or your tribe. Okay, they're going to want to be a part of what you're doing because they see that you've come out of it. Okay, so that's your action item number 2, is to create a list of who you were before Beachbody and who you are now, and to start implementing those into your story. Okay, so another thing that Brad shared at the Super Sunday that I absolutely loved is not going after the goal for the success, or what they call the peak of the goal. Going after the goal to become the person you want to be, for the growth that happens along the journey, right? How many of you have set a goal for yourself and you start working, and then it seems like life throws all this ish at you and you just can't get your head above water, and you're like, why is it every time I put this goal out there, I'm thrown all these curveballs and I feel like I'm getting nowhere? It takes the joy out of life, and we become frustrated when we're only focused on the goal here. But what if we took a step back and the peak of the mountain is here, and we don't see that cliff or that ridge that's right in front of us? And so that step back was to take a different path to keep us safe from going all the way up to that peak. What if that was meant for us to grow? What if that was meant to teach us a lesson? What if that was making us a stronger person, so that when one of our coaches is experiencing that, we know exactly how to coach them through it? And they're going to know we're genuine because we went through it ourselves. So learning to focus on the goal, or focus on the journey and the growth, rather than just the peak of the success. It's going to leave you to be more joyful, and it's going to reduce the frustration that you may see. Okay? Okay. So the last action item that I have for you guys to do, and this one I'm asking, and Leanne, if you can raise your hand if you want your team to do it as well. For my team, even for the girls that are listening on the playback, I want you to do this next action item. If you don't do the other two, this third one, I want you to absolutely do and take a picture of it and send it to me before November 1st. I don't need to be able to read it because it may be very personal, but I want to know that you did it. Okay? Accountability at its finest. Send a screenshot. And what it is Janelle Summers talked about it and gave her a little tidbit. I want you guys to sit down when it's quiet and nobody can distract you. And I want you to write a list of why you will not quit. Why you will not quit this business and why you will not quit this journey for you. Okay? Make the time to write it out. And that kind of taps into our why. What is so strong and so powerful that you show up every day? Why are you here? Why do you show up on the team calls every week? Why do you want to grow this business? We want to know why you don't want to ever give up, because that's your why. That's the reason that you show up day in and day out, and on the hard days, you still show up and hustle. Okay? So Leanne did put in the chat, if you didn't see it, that she wants her team to do that as well. So before November 1st, which is Thursday, 10 or 15 minutes, write out a list, take a shot of it, and text it to myself or Leanne, okay? And share that with us. Like I said, I don't need to be able to read it perfectly or anything like that. I just want to know that you took the time and did that for yourself and for your business, okay? And the last thing I have really quick before I open it back up is something that Brad shared that is a very powerful statement, and it may be something that you would want to write down and look at from time to time, especially if you are struggling at times, is pain in our life is guaranteed. Pain in our life is guaranteed. Suffering from that pain is optional. Pain in our life is guaranteed. Suffering from that pain is optional. I thought that was a really powerful message to remind us that we all have ish. Hard things happen. But we are here for a reason. More than just to work, make money, and pay bills, you guys. There is a bigger purpose to life than paying bills. Okay? So don't let that pain hold you back. Let that pain be your message to empower someone else. Okay? Cool. Anybody have any questions? I would love if you guys have any questions or any thoughts. Get a little bit of back and forth.
That was great, Corey. I shared with my team, especially that focusing on why you're going to be here. Cause, I told my team, and I told you, Dawn, you haven't heard, but I have struggled with my why this past week. My why has always been financially motivated. And, it was nice because Chalene Johnson told me a long time ago, that's not a bad thing. You can totally be financially motivated in this business. But for me, it just wasn't making me show up anymore. I was like, okay, it's not an incentive. And so just taking this time, I love this little challenge to just write it all out. And that's so important to just, we know our why, or we'll say yeah, I got a why, but to just take that time every once in a while to go back and read through and really write it out, just really get you motivated again. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you should do it a few times a year, you guys, because it changes as life changes. Right? Our goals change. My why at one point was for us to be able to move out of our tiny little house and have a bigger home for our family. We've accomplished that. So that's no longer a driving force for me because we already have that. So looking at that again, and like Leanne, it's changed for her. And if you feel stuck or like you're not motivated to show up, you need to reevaluate what do you want this business to be for you or for your family? And I think that writing it in the form, when Janelle said that to put why you will not quit, I feel like that's so much easier to really emotionally attach to, because sometimes it's like, oh, well, I would love to be debt free and I would love to travel and I would love to have this nice, shiny, bright car. But that's not going to always make you show up when the ish hits the fan, which it does when you put big goals out there. It always does, and it always will, you guys. That's just life. But you know what? It's because the universe is saying, do you really want this? Do you really want to go after this and grow and put the grit in that it's going to take to achieve great things? Because if you're not, you're going to go, oh, I'm too stressed out. I'm just going to curl up in a ball over here. And she wins. So keep pushing forward. But I think that when we say, I'm not going to quit because my family is counting on me for this, or because I'm going to prove to myself that I can follow through and accomplish something, or whatever that means for you, I feel like it's just so much more emotionally connected to make you show up on the days that life, that you just don't want to, because there are days that happens. Yeah. Cool. Anybody else have any thoughts? Don't be shy. No, nobody? No questions? Not at all? Aaron does. I can't hear you though.
Can't hear me?
Oh, I can now.
Okay, sorry.
That's
This, I don't know how much it relates to tonight, but anyway, going back and looking at all the different stuff on Instagram, I've been meaning to ask this, but I haven't. So you see some people that will have just like your regular traditional posts, like your paragraph, your words, but then some of them, it's like there's your paragraph, there's a dot, and then there's another paragraph, and then another dot. Like what's the meaning behind that, or is there one?
There really isn't. I put 2 dots just for spacing, because people will typically, and I am guilty of it too, when you see a longer post, you don't want one big paragraph. You want a couple sentences so you can scan really quickly. And Instagram's kind of goofy in how it will like stack your like individual sentences, like if you do 1 or 2 sentences. So if you put a period, an enter in a period, or a enter in 2 periods, then it will space those out so that people can very quickly scan your post.
Yeah, without that period, like even if you hit enter, it will just condense it. Mm-hmm. It will be like, oh, she didn't mean to have that space there.
Yeah, and then it's a big cluster, and then it's just people don't tend to read it as much. And I will say this too, while we're talking about Instagram really quick, I have been playing around with putting the hashtags in my post and in the comments, and my engagement has gone down significantly since just putting it in my post. So I'm going back to putting it in the first comment. Play around with it, because it might not be the same for you, but I've noticed, like, I've gotten like 10 likes on a couple of my last posts, where normally it's more in the 50 to 60 range.
I think people just see it as like an advertisement. When you're putting that like hashtags in the post, they're like, all she wants is like more eyes on it. And I don't think they always pay attention to all the comments.
Yeah. I don't know. I put like a good 6 to 8 periods and enters, and then put it at the very bottom, so you don't even see it like in my post. Yeah. But for whatever reason, it's not getting good feedback on algorithms. And something that Shalene did is teaching, and Janelle shared at the Super Sunday, is when you're doing your stories, only do 1 hashtag. I don't know if you remember our Instagram training a couple weeks ago, where I said, hey, you can put like 10 hashtags and you can shrink them up and hide them in your story. They found, over doing a 7-day study, that it's getting much more feedback if you just use the hashtag, like not just typing it out. Like if you actually use the little hashtag thing that's there, and using 1 tag that's very specific to you. So just another little tidbit.
Good to know.
Yeah. So you'll notice on my stories the last couple of days, that's all I've been doing instead of, I mean, not that you saw the other ones before, but I'm just using on almost every frame, I'm using an individual tag. Okay. Anything else? No? All right, cool. You guys are rock stars for showing up every week. We appreciate you. If you can think of anything, let us know, because as always, we are here. But get those why you are not going to quit. And Nate, you can send it to Leanne or myself or both of us, whoever you like. That's totally up to you. But do that list. Take that time and make it a priority for yourself. Okay. You're welcome, Dawn. Thank you for being here. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.